I actually need to start this episode off with an apology. Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Hey Wesley. I am Wesley. I am a counselor, mindset coach, and most importantly to me, woman of God, here to bring you another episode of encouragement. So, guys, welcome back to another episode. I actually need to start this episode off with an apology. I already repented to God, but I feel like I got to do a little confession with you guys because y'all are becoming my people. And I am not too proud or embarrassed or shamed or any of those things to admit when I've fallen short or when I am wrong. So I'm going to tell y'all what happened. So last week, I submitted or uploaded an episode that you guys watched called How to Ask for Help. Now, although the message itself was still pretty valid, the packaging of that message, though, was not up to par. See, the next day I was watching it and I felt so convicted with a capital C that when I went into my devotional and I was just praying to God, I literally had to repent because I knew that I was not treating the assignment that He gave me well. All right, ladies, this is how I felt. You guys ever wear open-toed shoes knowing that your nail polish is chipped? I don't know if you guys have ever done that. Maybe I'm telling on myself. But the whole time you're wearing the open-toed shoes, you're hoping that no one is going to notice the fact that your pedicure is not on point. That's how I felt with last week's episode. When I submitted it, I knew it wasn't my best. I knew that it symbolized for me personally that I didn't prioritize my time well. So when it came to recording that episode, which I was so passionate about sharing, I ended up having to rush. Like, I literally had a laugh, y'all. I don't know if you guys already watched it. At first I took it down, but then I put it back up because I was like, no, girl, it's okay. You don't have to hide your mistakes. But I was so close to the camera. I was so tired. My eyes were really glossy. I also didn't even have my normal energy. Like, you can tell I was just like, get in there, get out. But it's not just about the message. The delivery of the message is just as important. But I just wanted to also to apologize to you guys. I am upping my delivery. And I'm going to tell you why. Because God taught me something in my devotional when I was confessing, right? So I learned 4 things that I need to do that I want to share with you guys also to take care of your assignments. So there's an assignment over your life. I could even ask you, what are you really, really passionate about? Or what really breaks your heart when it comes to people? Like, it literally breaks my heart when I hear of people venting or throwing people under the bus or just really not loving themselves. So God had to take me on a journey, and I'm still on that journey. Not saying that I've ever arrived, but the 3 areas that I stand by in regards to my mission in life is to help people grow in their self-acceptance of themselves, to help people have healthy, intimate relationships with others. And when I say intimate relationships, it's not just romantic. I would love for people to be able to have healthy, sustaining friendships, to be able to reconnect with family members, and yes, have those healthy romantic relationships also. And the third thing is helping people to grow a true relationship with God. Because those are the 3 things that God has really helped me with. And there's so many layers to each one. Like, for self-acceptance, that means healing insecurities. That means growing confidence. That means learning how to enjoy your own company. All of these things we're going to tackle on this podcast for sure. But that is why I'm here, and I'm going to treat my assignment well. So I want to teach you guys 4 things that God taught me, and I'm going to use some biblical context from what I've been currently reading in the story of Nehemiah. And the first thing is to get your heart right. Nehemiah was heartbroken when he heard that the walls of Jerusalem were burned down. Because when you think about it, it was basically like a terrorist attack, right? He was a cupbearer to the king at that time. And so he was so depressed and he was so sad that the king actually noticed and was like, yo, in my Wesley words, yo, are you okay? Like, what's wrong with you? And that's not typical for the king to talk to one of the servants. So he ended up telling him, like, yeah, the walls of Jerusalem were teared down and my people, they're just not doing well. And he ended up, and I'm fast forwarding a little bit, he ended up telling the king that he wanted to rebuild the walls. So your heart needs to be aligned with whatever assignment that God has given you. So what walls are you building? What breaks your heart? What assignments do you feel like God has given you? For me personally, I'm building the wall of self acceptance. I'm building the wall of healthy, intimate relationships. And I'm building the wall of growing a personal relationship with God. Not just going to church or reading a scripture a day, but a true personal relationship with God. Your heart should have an outward call to solve a problem for other people. That's number one that I encourage you to do, is to start looking at your heart. And I'm praying that God reveals to you your assignment and your purpose in this world. And I hope this episode has helped you a little bit more in thinking about that. The second tip that I encourage you to do when it comes to taking care of your assignment is to have a plan. A plan, a clear plan. And I say that because Nehemiah was ready, was so ready when the king asked him, so what you want to do about it, right? He just told the king, like, my heart's broken. This is what happened, the wall. The king actually asked him, so what do you want to do about it? Nehemiah said, I want to build the wall. Not only did he say that, y'all, after that, he said, and I'm going to need these letters from you to get permission to do it. I'm going to need this much wood or money from you so I can build the wall and build the house that I'm going to live over there. He had a clear-cut plan. This is something that you may not want to do by yourself. Like, I would definitely pray through it. So it's not frivolous, right? We want to take care of God's assignments to us to the point that we actually have a plan. He might adjust our plan because we're only human, but we need some form of a plan. So I ask you, what is your plan? Do you need to go back to school? Do you need to catch a flight somewhere? Do you need to budget something? Do you need to just sit down and write out steps? Make a plan. And I want to ask you guys, and this is a counseling question, I want to ask you a magical question. So I want you guys to shut your eyes. Imagine 5 years from now, and say that you're sitting in your car and you're just relaxing and it's such a good day. You're parked in front of something beautiful, maybe a view of water or mountains or a field, and you get a phone call. And this phone call, somebody is telling you how much you've impacted their life. What it is that you did, that they saw you do, or you did for them, that has changed their life. And they just keep thanking you, and they keep thanking you, and they keep thanking you. My question to you is, what are they thanking you for? What are they thanking you for? Because as you guys start thinking about that, you're already finding out the gifts that God has given you and how you impact others. And that will help you in regards to planning how you can get to that point where that quote unquote person will thank you. Now, the journey is not about the thanks, but when people are really, really impacted or enjoy something it is that you do, usually they will thank you. So that is my tip and encouragement to you in regards to how you can figure out how to plan for the assignment that God has given to you. Jump 5 years, 10 years out, and then bring it back in and think of what is it that would get you to that 5-year, 10-year mark. And that will be the birth of your plan. And this is definitely something to do with God. So when I made my 5-year, 10-year plan a few years ago, I prayed through it, I fasted through it, I wrote it all out, and still now I have to go back to it. So that is my tip when it comes to planning for your assignment. Number 3, when you have a plan for the things that God has assigned you to do, He will support that plan. So for Nehemiah, not only did he get all of these items that he told the king, but when he went out to Jerusalem, he had people that God aligned to serve also in building the wall. Your plan isn't going to just be you by yourself. God will support you and send you people to be with you along the journey. Now, a vision that God gives you, He only really gives it to you. So it's not like they're going to have the same exact passion to do what it is that you're doing, but you will be able to tell who supports the assignments that God gives you by what it is that they're doing, not just what they're saying. People can say great things like, oh, you're going to do great. Oh, I believe in you. But if this person's like, hey, look at this conference, this matches what you talked about last week, they are doing something. If they're like, hey, I want to sow money into your ministry because I really believe that you can do this, they are doing something. And speaking of sowing in money, I'm going to start putting my little Cash App on here, y'all. just in case y'all want to sow into my ministry, it will be available to you. But yes, when looking at who will support you, is noticing what people are doing. Usually their actions show their heart. So that means, y'all, that you got to be able to accept help. You got to be able to allow people to bless you, to help you, and to have the discernment to know who may be a distraction and who may be a partner. Because just as you're trying to build the wall, y'all, the enemy's trying to tear it down. So that we can see in Nehemiah as well. He started building the wall. Nobody was really paying much attention to him. But when it started to get real height and they're actually getting around like full circle and we're like covering gates and all, that's when people started taunting him. That's when people were basically threatening his life, right? So the support he had around him were people who were also willing to fight with him. They literally had half the men building while the other half had their weapons ready to fight. So you don't have to do the assignment alone. There's going to be people who God will align to have the vision or really love what it is that you're about to do, or just really love you, right? They might just be like, oh my gosh, I just want to help you because they can see God's light shining through you. But you're not going to have to do it alone. So you got to be able to accept help. But let me jump into number 4. Just as I said that you need to accept help, but you got to pay attention to what the enemy is trying to tear down. The 4th thing that I encourage you to pay attention to when taking care of the assignment God has given to is to focus. See, that's where I messed up, y'all. That's where I messed up with last week's episode. See, I read this Priscilla Shirer book called Fervent. It's the book that she wrote that aligns with that movie War Room that came out like years ago. And in that book, she talks about these different areas in your life that the enemy may try and attack, and for you to kind of make a prayer plan for those areas in your life. One of those areas was actually focus, because sometimes we think an attack of the enemy is going to be maybe health, money, but I know personally, I didn't really think focus was an area for an attack. So after reading that book, I was more aware, I guess you could say. And so when reflecting on the week leading up to me recording last week's episode, I realized that the enemy had attacked my focus, y'all. Tell me how your girl has so many people on her phone, so many different people pulling on me left and right, asking me to do different things, to the point that I didn't have enough boundaries, that I ended up using so much of my time in the week that I had to throw that video in together. So I encourage you to protect the assignment that God has given you by giving it its appropriate time. So now I have scheduled time that is just for podcasts. I have scheduled time that's just going to be for social, and scheduled time for the gym. I'm protecting my focus so that the enemy can't just throw things at me and get me so tired that I can't produce what it is that God's telling me to produce. So for Nehemiah, y'all, these people was trying Nehemiah. They were literally trying to actually kill him. So there was a time that he was on the wall and he was building, and they were trying to call him down from the wall because they were trying to set him up so that they can kill him. Nehemiah was so focused that God allowed him to feel that they were plotting against him. And he even said, like, why would I stop building what God has called me to do to come down there to you guys? Y'all, that verse, I had to highlight that like 4 times to the point that I feel like I almost can't read through it, because that was so powerful. Why come down from what it is that God has assigned you to do to address other people that don't align with what you're called to do? That is not only a distraction, but the fact that they wanted to kill him means that not that people themselves are trying to kill your dreams. It's the enemy that can use people's jealousy, use people's ignorance, use people's envy to try and kill your dream. So when we say enemies on this channel, this is kind of like a side street. I want to encourage you guys not to think of people, right? That person that's really annoying, that frustrates you, they are not your enemy. It's the spirit of envy. It's the spirit of jealousy. Those come from the enemy. So those are the things that are triggering them to treat you the way that they are. But all of that can be delivered. Like God can remove envy from their heart. That's one of my biggest encouragements to you when it comes to us growing intimacy in our relationships on this channel, as one of our big tidbits, is not looking at people as our enemies, but looking at the real enemy, Satan, and his tactics of using people who may not have healed in certain areas. So now they may be triggered by something you do. It's a whole bunch of different things. But to protect and care for the assignment that God has given you, you have to focus. You have to notice when things just don't match. Like when somebody's asking you to do something that's totally different from what it is that you believe God has called you to do. Or if certain people are trying to talk to you, hang out with you, but they also just, something don't feel right. You got to listen to the Holy Spirit or your gut and notice that this actually might be an attack of the enemy that just seems so normal. So, guys, don't be like me, right? Don't rush things that are of God. And the reason why you don't want to rush, the reason why you want to take care of these assignments is because if God gives you an assignment, any role or any job, it's because it's not about you, y'all. There are people who are waiting on you to deliver that assignment. And that's why it's a threat to the enemy. There are people who will benefit from what it is that you are going to do, you're going to say, your role in their life. So if the enemy can mess you up where you don't have a clear plan or you're not focused, then the people that you're meant to help, the people that will benefit from your gifting, won't get it. And that is why we got to take care of the assignments, because it's not even just about us. There are people who need us. There's a reason why we're on this world together, and there's not a whole bunch of individual worlds where we're all by ourselves. We all, you included, have a gift that other people can benefit from. And it's not just like your job or your career. It might even just be as simple as your laugh could be a gift. Your ability to make humor could be a gift. Your ability to build something with your hands can be a gift. Your ability to see fashion and arts can be a gift, because it will somehow help other people. So your gift is precious enough. Your assignment is precious enough for you to take care of it. So I encourage you guys to do these 4 things. First, to get your heart right? Figure out what it is that you're passionate about and clean up the things that make you a little bit selfish. And the second thing is to have a plan, because without a plan, you'll keep failing because you keep changing your mind and you're not being consistent and you're not being committed. So you need a plan to keep you on the right track. Third thing, make sure that you receive the support that's available to you. Who said you got to do things alone? God didn't. God sends people to be your help, which we talked about in last week's episode. So receive the support that is around you. Don't try and overstretch, or whatever the saying is where you just do too much. Don't do too much. And the fourth thing is focus. Focus, focus, focus. Because the enemy's one of his biggest tactics, aside from trying to make us offended and mad at other people, is to have us not be able to focus on the things that we're supposed to do and get distracted by people, hurt, money, all these different things that actually could be distractions to what it is that we're supposed to do. So guys, I hope you can accept my apology. I'm so sorry for the subpar episode last week, but I hope you guys are encouraged today and you're more aware of the assignments that you have been given by God and what to do with it. And we will continue going full force on this channel, because now that I know that the enemy was trying to mess with me in regards to having good content on here, y'all know I'm coming hard. So I'm going to end the episode here. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. And if you are listening on our audio podcast, make sure that you are downloading these episodes. But guys, let me know, what is it that you guys are building? What season are you in? I would love to hear it in the comments, because I just want to pray with you guys, encourage you guys, and also know that I'm not alone, right? But as I always say, continue loving on you. I'll continue loving on me, and let's be free. Bye, guys. By the time you guys listen to this episode, my godson would have been born, which is going to be my second godson. I have such amazing friends. He is probably already here and blessing all of those who have been waiting for his arrival. But I just wanted to say that and mark this episode because I'm so excited. All right, guys. Bye.